Welcome to the Saturday Sports Line. Since 1969, the premier sports show about local high school sports, featuring coaches, players, and special guests. Now, here is your host of the Saturday Sports Line, Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI Sports Director, Mitch Columbi, and sports analyst, Chris McGowan.
Well, back for more here at the Saturday Sports Line as it is Saturday morning. We've got a lot of area high school team scores to catch you up, as last night was a huge night here in Knox for our game. The Knox Redskins beat the Culver Cavaliers 59-14. And, Chris, that was quite an amazing game last night. Both teams put forth good effort. It just was the Redskins coming out on top. And then the Winamac Warriors, Josh Burgess gets his first win under his belt as the Winamac Warriors beat North White 33-7. North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jays 62-0. They beat the Calumet Christian Patriots as the West Central Trojans, again, Marc, who's on the line. Big win for him in week 3, 44-0. Boy, you've got to be happy if you're Marc at West Central, that's for sure.
Yeah, the 3-0 West Central Trojans.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable
that's so
for
good.
them. Yeah, putting a 44 spot on the board against Tri-County. Great effort, and let's go ahead and bring him in.
I guess we should say believable instead of unbelievable as we bring in Marc Hall, the head coach of the West Central Trojans. Marc, good morning. How are you?
Good. How about yourselves?
Hey, we're doing fantastic. Congratulations on a Week 3 win. Tell us a little bit about it and some of the guys that stuck out last night for you.
Well, thank you. We had Tri-County as our first conference game of the year, and we were Tri-County and us were the last two conference teams to play this year, and so we finally got one in, and we played a really good game. The guys, they were really focused this week, and we were able to take care of what we needed to take care of, and we had several guys that just had really good performances on the night. Aiden White ran the ball for 137 yards and 2 touchdowns and on only 5 carries. Also had 48 receiving yards, so it did a really nice job for us.
Hold on a second. Whoa. 132 yards on 5 carries?
Yeah, 137 on 5 carries,
137 on 5 carries. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. We had we've been looking at a couple plays that we have in our playbook that we've done really well on them in practice, and we saw that Tri-County's Week 1 opponent ran it and had a lot of success. We were thinking this might be a good week to put that in there and make sure we run it in the game, and we ran it really well. So Aiden White had 137 yards rushing on that. Spencer Lehman had 2 carries for 47 yards and a touchdown. Connor Malap has continued to do a really nice job for us at quarterback and getting people the ball and making the right reads and getting to the right person at the right time. And he didn't do a whole lot as far as rushing compared to his last few weeks, but he did have 7 carries for 57 yards and also threw for 71 yards last night. With Jaden Miller, he had 8 carries for 57 yards and 2 touchdowns. So a lot of different guys carrying the ball for us. Ian Rodriguez had 19 yards. Dre Villarreal had 19. Jacob Plarski had 22 and a touchdown. So a lot of different guys carrying the ball for us and getting yards for us. And then receiving-wise, like I said, Aiden White had 48 for us on 4 catches, and Spencer Lehman had 18 on 1, and Zion had 5 on 1 of his. So a lot of guys getting involved. We had a total of 429 yards of offense last night, which is really good for us. Last week, one of the things that was odd about our score, scoring 44 last week against Lake Station, is we didn't have very much yardage because we kept getting short fields. And this week, we were able to score 44, and our yardage looks more like a team that would have scored 44 points. So that was nice to see. Our guys, they executed plays really well. Total play-wise, we didn't run a whole bunch. We had a lot of quick scores. We had 14 first downs, so we were moving the ball well, and we got out to a hot start. We kicked off to them and forced them to go 4 and out. They went for it on 4th down on their own end, and we were able to capitalize with a quick score. And then defensively, we really shut them down. Did a nice job of that. They were passing the ball a bit more than what they have in the last few games, and defensively, I thought we did a nice job staying with people, staying in front of them, And then, again, our defensive line continued their pass rush they've had the last couple of weeks, and just we're getting after the quarterback and making it uncomfortable for him to throw back there.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've scored 2 weeks in a row here, 44 points each week, but to shut a team out in high school football, I don't think people realize just how hard that is. And I was going to ask you who individually, defensively stuck out for you last night in getting the shutout.
Yeah, we had a really good defensive effort, and it was, as you said, it was an entire team affair, and no one individual just had a bunch of tackles. It was just solid all throughout there that we were doing a nice job. Like our leading tackler was Zion Rodriguez and Jacob Farsky with 5 total tackles. Then we had a bunch of everybody else with 2 and 3 and 4. Then the big thing that we've been able to get a nicer job of this year is getting tackles for loss and sacks. All last season we only had 1 sack in 10 games, and then this year I think each game we've had at least 2. So that's been a huge improvement over last season. It's something we had discussed a lot with the team as well. But we had several guys with tackles for loss. We had 6.5 tackles for loss last night. We had another 2 sacks. And then up front, our defensive line is getting pressure on the quarterback even if they aren't getting the sack. So that's causing some passes to be off time and maybe too long, too short, just not on targets. We had 5 quarterback hurries last night. And we had an interception last night and also a fumble recovery that helped out too. So Connor Marlette had an interception for the 2nd week in a row, and then Zion Rodriguez recovered a fumble that Jacob Pilarski forced.
Yeah, so who individually, I mean, the sounds like your defensive line is getting the job done. Who are those kids up front that are doing that, and are you able to rotate through having a little bit more depth this year?
Yeah, and that's depth is one of the things we do have up front. And when we were getting started and putting people into places we wanted to be at the start of August, and really all summer we were discussing things. But once we had everyone show up that was going to show up and start moving people around, we got 7 or 8 guys up front that we feel that we can put in there and they can play. So we do rotate defensive linemen quite a bit, and that does keep them fresh. We play 1A football, and there's a lot of teams that their offensive linemen are playing defensive line, and they never come off the field. So it is a nice thing that we feel that we can rotate guys in there. So we've got Buzz Beiswinger that's been leading the way for us on offensive and defensive line. Riley Jackson, Joe Jackson, Zach Gilger, Christian Hughes, Tristan Sizemore have been doing a really nice job up front defensively for us. And then also Max Scholes has gotten in there a little bit. And then Blake Hughes, as soon as he gets back, will be right back in there too for us.
Well, Coach, you've got the Culver Cavs coming up here in Week 4. Already Week 4, can you believe it, here of the Indiana high school football season. Time is flying. Tell me a little bit about what you're preparing this week for the Cavs, and if you have seen anything at all from them. Of course, they're coming off an upsetting loss here in Knox, 59-14. But what are you looking forward to this week in preparing your guys for Culver?
Yeah, it is. We're a third of the way through the regular season already, so it has gone by fast. It seems like we just started, but it's going quickly, and every week just keeps going faster. But Culver, they're going to be a physical team. They always are. They aren't like their linemen aren't as big, at least it appears like on film, as what they have been the past few years. So they'll be nicer, but they're still going to be just as physical, just as aggressive. They will be well coached. Mike Zehner was one of my teammates in college, and we were actually lifting partners. So it's always good to go play his team, and we haven't beaten him yet since he's been the coach. So it's going to be something we're going to try the best we can this week to make sure we got everything put together right and people know what they're supposed to be doing. But yeah, Culver they're going to be tough. They are 1-2 right now. They've 2 losses against 2 really good teams, and they beat a team that's usually a pretty decent team in South Central. So that 1-2 record is a little bit deceiving for Culver. They're going to be just fine. So we got to make sure that we are ready this week and can do everything we can to go over there and be ready to go.
Well, I can tell you, the one thing that you're going to have to do is you're actually going to have to draw up different formations preparing for Culver this week.
Yeah, we saw that. It's a little bit different, but it's sometimes you got to switch things up and move some things around for what your team has for you. So we'll do what we can to get ready for it. But yeah, it is a throw out all the things from the last few years and just that one formation. So now we got to get some new ones in there.
All right. Lastly, how's the health of the ball club?
It's really good. We've got, we've talked about this before, but once you start hitting, no one's 100% anymore.
Exactly.
But it's all things that you manage week to week, and it's just bumps and bruises that you get from football. So everyone's doing well.
Well, Coach, I have to say I'm happy for you, with the struggles that you've had the last several years with all the injuries and playing the young kids, and to see it, like I said, I've said it last week, to see it actually come to fruition. It's good for you and it's good for the kids there at West Central, and hopefully you keep it rolling next week against Culver.
Well, thank you. It's very appreciated.
Well, hey, we appreciate it. Marc Hall, the head coach of the West Central Trojans. Marc, until next week, good luck in Week 4. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You guys have a good week.
You too.
All right, head coach of the West Central Trojans, Marc Hall. We're going to talk with head coach of the Culver Cavaliers, Mike Zehner, coming up shortly. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
The Stark County Co-op has been a member-owned farm services co-op in Stark County since 1928. That's over 90 years, and they're still providing the same quality agronomy services to the farming community of Stark and surrounding counties. The Stark County Co-op is an LP and fuel provider. The Stark County Co-op purchases grain at both locations, Hamlet and Brems. You can reach them by phone at 1-800-782-3392.
Coke knows there's nothing better than the beat of the summer. The beat begins in a simple and mellow place, from low-key to hyped up. So we're helping you and your friends drink it all in with 100 days of the artist's experiences, tracks, and concerts with the best names in music, all at Coke Studio. Drink, scan, and enjoy your Coke so you never miss out on all the amazing offers we're dropping this summer. Collins Insurance Agency in Knox has done it again. They have earned the distinction of preferred agency partner from the Western Reserve Insurance Company.
Can't touch this.
So what does that mean for you? Collins Insurance Agency provides themselves of taking care of its community. That means providing the best insurance that keeps you and your family safe in a time of need. And with this honor, Collins Insurance Agency looks forward to providing Stark and surrounding counties the best customer service you and your family deserve. Collins Insurance Agency in Knox, living the golden rule by treating you like family.
Here's more with area high school coaches as we return to the Saturday Sports Line from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital Studios on K99.3.
You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI. We've got Mike Zehner, head coach of the Culver Community Cavaliers, on the line as they had a tough loss last night against the Knox Redskins, 59-14. And Chris, let's go ahead and bring in Mike Zehner and talk about last night. We had a chance to talk to him at halftime, see what adjustments he was going to make for the second half, but it was a tough loss last night for Mike Zehner. Mike, good morning to you. How are you?
Hey, doing good. Sun came up, and another beautiful day, right?
That's right. Hey, Coach, we talked at halftime last night, and, I thought your kids came out. You started the game. I think if you'd have said you were down, it would have been 16-8, and you had the ball to start that second quarter. I think you'd have taken that all week. But, again, it just seemed like in that second quarter, you guys you'd get a first down, and then you'd shoot yourselves in the foot with a couple false start penalties, and it wasn't just one possession. It seemed like every possession you had in the second quarter, again, you'd make a positive play, and then you'd have two negative plays. But 16-8, you came out. I really thought your kids matched the physicality of Knox. But do you think Knox being able to platoon? Do you think that had an effect earlier than what you thought it would against your kids?
Yeah. That was always a worry this week, especially with the weather, the heat. Honestly, I thought our kids held up. We didn't have any cramping like we did week one or anything to that effect. But also the running clock probably plays a factor in that too. If we are playing, round for round, battle for battle, blow for blow. But I thought our kids were resilient. I think really the backbreaker was those big plays towards the end of the second half or the first half there in the second quarter. They put a couple scores up late there that really broke our back, and that's tough to regroup from that. But we come out and they take the opening possession. I lost the toss. They took the ball and went down and scored. And and we got to get off the field defensively at times. We had them in a 4th and 20, and then they complete a pass that hey, stay back there, stay back in coverage. We'll get that covered. And thought we had some good coverage underneath and stuff. And just situations like that, we just got to get off the field. And it wasn't just this week. I mean, it was last week too. Against South Central, we had a couple possessions where it's 3rd and long or 4th and long, or they punt and it hits a player, or, whatever it might be. But we got to make sure we get off the field and get the ball back to our offense. Looking at the stats, I'm not a big stat guy, but looking at the stat sheet and seeing that 100 yards and penalties, we can't do that against anybody, let alone Knox, who's they're a very good football team. So those are the frustrating things, especially when it's a procedure call or a false start or whatever it might be. We can't gift wrap that. I remember one of the pass plays we had had to be about a 40-yard gain, and apparently we got blocked in the back and in the free blocking zone, but we got that one called back, so that was frustrating. Didn't think it really affected what was going to happen, but Jason had a great crew last night. They did a good job. I thought they did a great job with a lot of the calls, and but you're never going to agree with everything,
right?
When it goes against you. But we do got to clean up like the leaning false starts. They said our tackle was twitching with his leg, but heck, I see that in the NFL all the time too. But so those things are frustrating. Those things we'll look at on film, show them. But it's week 3. We're a third of the way through the season. We got to make sure that we are not doing that stuff to get behind the chains, because it's tough to overcome some of those. We've had to do that in the weeks past, but we can't continue to do this against good football teams, and West Central is no different. So, but I thought defensively we put them in some positions sometimes, but man, they're tough to stop. You can't simulate that in practice, especially with our scout team. I thought Ben Lee did a good job digging some kick out blocks out and doing some things. He did exactly what we coached him up to do, and he made it tough to run to his side. We get guys to the football. We got to make sure that we're going low on legs, like we've preached and coached up and practiced all week, and got to continue to improve there. I think there's too many times we're too high and trying to tackle around the chest rather than the legs or waist, and things we can always improve on. But hey, Knox is going to win a lot of football games. There's no doubt about that. And they're well coached. Coach Radtke does obviously an amazing job being second all-time winningest coach in the history of Indiana football. So, hats off to those guys. I think the best thing, we came away injury-free. We'll have a normal bumps and bruises, but, we got some young guys in last night too that did some good things. And, one of the things that you look at on the stat sheet, we didn't have a turnover until I think that last possession when we did have the young guys in.
Right.
So those are some promising things. I thought we've done a nice job with that this season. I don't think Jason has thrown an interception. He's done a nice job managing the offense, the new offense, and basically a new quarterback, because he's been our backup, or heck, he's been our fullback as well in the T. So, just understanding the offense and what we do and what the reads are. And I think he's done an amazing job up to this point, and I think he's going to continue to get better each and every week.
All right. The one thing, having been a head coach, that you realized, and I said it on air last night after the game in the post-game wrap-up, that, the eye in the sky never lies. I've been on both sides of it. I've been in some blowout losses. I've been in some blowout wins. The one thing you realize, it's never as bad as what you think it is on Friday night. It's never as good as what you think it is on a Friday night. So have you had a chance to watch the film? And if you have, is there anything that sticks out, like, what, hey, this kid really stepped up and played really well, and you may not have seen that last night as you were watching the game live as it happened?
Yeah, I mentioned Ben defensively. I thought he did a heck of a job on everything we coach him up to be. And I'll mention Shane. I mean, Shane gets a lot of the press, and rightfully so. I mean, that kid made some plays offensively, but defensively, he just finds a way. His technique's so odd sometimes, and it frustrates me, and I tell him that. And, but he's tough to block, and he finds a way to tackle and get guys to the ground. And you can't credit. We got some young guys up front. Theron Carrington's a freshman, and he played hard last night. And last week, and it's tough for a freshman, young kid. Last week we wanted him to get upfield. And this week we're like, hey, we don't want you to get upfield. We want you to get lateral. And then once he adjusted, he made some plays there late in the game. But Brady Molbash was back last night, and he played some D tackle where he's been a linebacker for us, and played some O tackle as well. And we switched him there a couple weeks ago from running back position just because of their depth on the line and some injuries, and the guy's not back yet. And so he's done a nice job for us. Obviously, Stephen Pugh and Devin Burkett as well. Ollie Morgan's another kid that had a nice reception last night, and he's getting better on defensive side of things, where he was a safety last year, and now we moved him up to an outside linebacker. He kind of played an inside linebacker position based on a 60 front that we showed last night. So a lot of promising things. Mono Ortiz is another one that hadn't got much playing time offensively, and I'm sure he'll get worked into the system. But he played some defense for us last night and been starting defense on that side of the ball. And
he had a couple big kickoff returns for you too to shorten the field.
He is. He's electric, and getting him in open space. He's gonna, once he grasps the offense, I think he's another weapon we'll have. With Ryan Beam and Brady Kindernay and Ethan Binion. So we got some young guys that are stepping up and doing their part, and they've really grasped the offense. So much of it is making sure we get lined up. And again, this is my fault because I know you guys mentioned it with Mark Hall, but we've only had to line up in one offensive set for the last 5 years, and now we got I think Coach Faust said we had like 14 different formations, maybe week one or something to that effect, and getting guys lined up in the right position sometimes is tough, and I think our kids have done an awesome job with that. And, I'm just not used to taking that practice time to go over formations and those things, but and that comes with some of the false starts and things like that too. So by week 3 here, we should have those out of our system, and hopefully we will.
Yeah, I was giving Coach Faust a hard time during pregame warm-ups when he's actually snapping, shotgun snaps, and I looked at him and I said, "This is Culver. What are you doing?" But he said, "Shotgun, you know that." And I was like, "Yeah, I know. I'm just giving you a hard time." But, back to that 4th and 20 play in the second quarter, you got to give Knox credit because, they pretty much line up in a two-tight formation. Now, sometimes they'll go unbalanced, and they bring their tackle over. And so on the backside, that tight end, it's the tight end now lining up in the tackle position. But a lot of people don't understand and realize that he's eligible. He's wearing a receiver's number. He's eligible, and I think in the game, you got to communicate that. And on the back end, I think it just didn't get communicated on that big 4th and 20, and allowed the tight end just to run down the seam. But again, that's something when it's play after play after play, they're lining up, and it's just too tight. You got to tackle, you got to guard, tackle, tight end, guard, tackle, tight end, play after play after play, and then all of a sudden they take the tackle from the one side, move him to the other side, and you get complacent. I think that caught you last night on that 4th and 20.
Yeah, we had guys in position. Our inside linebacker actually chased him down, and then we preached all week to our corners and safeties to make sure, hey, we're last guy line of scrimmage. We show them the unbalanced stuff,
right.
what we're going to get. And, but it's easy to get complacent. It's easy. But we just need to be, smarter football players at times where, hey, we're, 4th and long, probably not going to run trap or counter or power, but you know what, they probably could some of the yards they were getting, last night with some of those plays. So, but again, gotta give the Radtkes a ton of credit for what they do, and obviously Teddy and Julio and everybody over there. So, they're going to be a tough out for anybody. I think there's going to be some noise made here in the HNAC with, a lot of these teams. I don't know if anybody's going to be undefeated this year. And then I know that says a lot, but it's a tough little conference. And, I think our biggest thing, we came away healthy last night, and we got to see a very physical football team, and I think that's just going to help us improve going forward.
Well, Coach, you've got the West Central Trojans coming up next week for Week 4 Indiana high school football action. Good luck to you, and we appreciate your time this morning.
Yeah. Coach Hall does a great job over there, and he's got them rolling. They're 3-0, and they're playing with a little swagger. They got some athletes, so definitely going to be a fun matchup. I always love coaching against Coach Hall, being a former college teammate, and so we're excited. Obviously, I know he's excited. This is one I'm sure he circles and wants to get, and this is always fun to coach against guys that you have a ton of respect for.
Well, good luck to you, Coach. Thanks so much for giving us some time this morning. We appreciate it.
Hey, appreciate having me.
All right, that's head coach of the Culver Cavaliers, Mike Zehner, on the line. We appreciate it, Mike, and we're going to take a quick break, come back, and talk to the head coach of the North Judson-San Blue Jays, Brett Lambert, right after this. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
Since 1936, Standard Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning have always taken pride in doing the job right. Third-generation owner Brian Hammond and his family have always set the standard when it comes to taking care of all your heating and cooling needs. Making your home a comfortable home is the absolute top priority. If you are uncomfortable in your home, give them a call at 574-936-4660. Follow them on Facebook. Let Standard Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning help you take control of your comfort.
Coke knows there's nothing better than the beat of the summer. The beat begins in a simple and mellow place, from low-key to hyped up. So we're helping you and your friends drink it all in with 100 days of the artist's experiences, tracks, and concerts with the best names in music, all at Coke Studio. Drink, scan, and enjoy your Coke so you never miss out on all the amazing offers we're dropping this summer.
The Stark County Co-op has been a member-owned farm services co-op in Stark County since 1928. That's over 90 years, and they're still providing the same quality agronomy services to the farming community of Stark and surrounding counties. The Stark County Co-op is an LP and fuel provider. The Stark County Co-op purchases grain at both locations, Hamlet and Browns. You can reach them by phone at 1-800-782-3392, the Stark County Co-op.
Join us each Saturday morning on WKVI for the Saturday Sports Line and worldwide on WKVI.com.
Back here at the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios, we have a special guest, head coach of the North Judson-San Blue Jays, Brett Lambert, coming off their Week 3 win against Calumet Christian, the Patriots. Sup, Coach?
All right, here I'm going to start this way. All right, the last 2 weeks you've scored 114 points. Explain yourself.
Well, I mean, just things are rolling right now offensively, so we're excited about that. But no, we had a game with Calumet Christian last night. A week ago we thought we were playing North Newton.
So did we.
Yeah, and
I thought that last night. I even said it under air. I'm like, he corrected me, and I'm like, Calumet.
I said
Calumet
no.
Christian.
Actually, they're playing Calumet Christian, Chris.
Didn't even know that school existed. But hey,
well, 2 weeks ago I was kind of tipped off by Chris Meeks at Rensselaer. He said, "Man," he goes, because they were playing North Newton. He said they're low on numbers. He goes, Rensselaer was actually looking for an opponent to replace them because they didn't know if they could play. Then Saturday, after the Rensselaer game with North Newton, I called up North Newton's coach, and he said, "Yeah, you might want to look for somebody else. We've got 13 healthy guys." So we had already contacted some other schools, but putting feelers out, but we weren't getting a lot of luck. Some schools, they had 20-something guys, that could play, and they're like, "Nah, we don't want to do it," which I was kind of shocked by. So I don't even know how I came up with Calumet Christian. I was doing a lot of research, and I found them. I got a hold of Sarkozy, Mr. Sarkozy, our athletic director. He made the phone call, and they were excited to come play us, even though they only had 14 guys. They were excited to play us because they had a game lined up in Ohio. It was a 5-hour drive one way that they were about to seal the deal on. So we got in just in time and got a game. And again, just we won 62-0. It was 56-0 at halftime. There was a running clock with 9 minutes to go in the second quarter, so it wasn't like it was the most competitive game. But our guys got to play on Friday night, and that was a great thing.
So who stuck out for you last night? Who played well?
Let me go through some stats here. Here we go. So we only ran 30 offensive plays, to get the 62 points. But Aldric Harper was 3 of 4 passing, 63 yards. All 3 passes went for touchdowns. He also had 5 rushes for 31 yards and a touchdown. Cheyenne Allen had 8 carries, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also caught a touchdown pass for 9 yards. Brock Benson, 3 carries, 69 yards, touchdown. Cole Wilcox caught a touchdown. We had a reception for a touchdown. He also ran for 1. Then he had an interception on defense. Josiah McDaniel had a 36-yard touchdown reception. He had 2 interceptions on defense. Trey McGowan and Kenyon Minix both had a fumble recovery. Quentin Frazier, Logan Radtke, they led us in tackles. Logan also had a safety on defense. And then a big thing last night, I talked about it last week, but Cheyenne Allen broke the scoring record. So he's now the all-time leading scorer at North Judson. He broke Joe Griffo's record. He set that back in 1985. And again, that's, Joe Griffo was a heck of a football player, and he played with a lot of great football players back in those 80s Radtke teams. It was just it was a great night for Blue Jay football, but, it wasn't obviously a very competitive night, even though I will say, Calumet Christian played really hard. I mean, they laid some hits on us at times. They weren't going to just show up and just to be there. I mean, they wanted to play, and it was just a cool experience for, I think, them to come to an environment, a big crowd that we had. It was just pretty cool.
Yeah, you wonder, top 5 ranked team in Class 1A gives you a call, hey, you want to come play us, and you got 14 kids that are healthy. You might think it, but hey, all credit to them to step up and take the game and, to show up and play. But, all right, now we can finally address the elephant in the room. Knox Redskins.
Yeah.
So what's the game plan, Coach?
It should just be a fun week for fans. To be honest with you, Knox is, obviously a really good football team. They're a couple plays away from being undefeated. They could have easily beaten Rochester, and I'm sure they know that. This is going to be, a celebration at Liberty Field. We're celebrating 75 years of Blue Jay football. So I think that's just going to be a great, experience for just the fans. And, as a coach, it's a cool thing to think about, but once the game starts, I'm not going to have one thought about that at all.
Right.
But just to have a lot of former players come back, players who played, under a lot of great coaches at North Judson, Russ being one of them, of course, and then, maybe there's some players that played under Les Thornton I've heard are going to be there. Again, he was a Hall of Fame coach. Gary Cox, I think Kevin Cox is going to be there. Just a lot of, just great coaches have gone through North Judson. Heck, Ted White's going to be on the sideline with Russ. So we got 2 former North Judson head coaches on their sideline. So it's going to be awesome. The atmosphere should be fantastic. I'm expecting a crowd that's going to rival a regional or semi-state crowd. So it's only going to help. Win or lose for both our teams, it's only going to help us when it gets time to those bigger games later in the year to play in an environment like this and an atmosphere like this. Should be pretty special.
Yeah, I'd say get there early if you're a fan, that's for sure.
If you don't get there, I'd be there at least half an hour before kickoff at 7 because you're probably going to miss something. I about guarantee that. You're going to miss something if you're not there early. So our kids are, they're ready for a game like this. The first 3 games, maybe haven't been as competitive, and I think kids have been looking towards this game for a while, and in my mind, we're the underdog in this game. If you compare scores, Knox beat Culver worse than we did. If you look at the recent history, we haven't beat Knox at Liberty Field since 2014. So they have a winning streak at Liberty Field. Russ Radtke, whether he's in a blue coach's shirt or a red coach's shirt, he's never lost the Knox-Judson game at Liberty Field. So we're going to have to take on the fact that they're the favorites in this one, and we're going to have to, do everything we can this week, mentally and physically to get ourselves prepared for a war.
We're talking with head coach of the North Judson-San Blue Jays, Brett Lambert. Brett, I had a chance to talk to your senior quarterback, Aldric Harper, for our Athlete of the Week. Boy, he's a cool cat. Is that the type of person you look for as your quarterback, someone cool under pressure like that?
I really like to have that at quarterback, yes. Yeah,
I mean, that's the first thing that stood out to me. He just was so calm and cool, collected. It's a good head on his shoulders, it looks like.
I mean, I'm a Bears fan. Of course, the Bears haven't had success since the 80s.
Whoa. We were 3-0 in the preseason.
That's true. That is true.
And I'm a Bears fan, too, so we were 3-0 in the preseason.
But Aldric reminds me a little bit of Jim McMahon, a little bit. Just he's pretty cool, calm, collected. He's not going to shy away from a hit. And he's just a great guy to lead your team, and he is truly a leader. And I appreciate that as a coach. I love having Aldric as the quarterback.
And then, of course, Cheyenne Allen breaks the record last night. Isn't there another record I think we talked about last night he is on the brink of potentially breaking as well? Am I correct on that?
The rushing record, and again, that's going to happen at some point. I mean, you want it to happen against Knox, but there's no guarantee. I'm sure that, the Knox kids don't want it to happen, of course. But whenever it happens, whether it's this game, next game, game after. We're not going to – that's not going to be a thought as a coaching staff that, we need to get Cheyenne the rushing record. No, we're going to run our offense and, find any advantage we think we might have against Knox, any weakness we might, be able to find as we watch film over the week. And, it'll happen at some point for him.
How you looking health-wise right now?
Oh, that is a good thing. I mean, we're healthy at this point. I mean, everybody's going to have a few bumps and bruises once you start getting into the season, but there's nothing that's, at this point, and knock on wood, that's going to keep anybody out of the game.
You just go back and you think, having you and I both played at North Judson. You're now the head coach. We were assistant coaches together at North Judson, and you just think about.
I actually did not know that.
I've coached with a lot of people, but anyway. We are both entrenched in the tradition of Blue Jay football, North Judson-San, and you just think about all of the great players and all of the great teams that have come through North Judson, and to think that a kid can not only set the scoring record, but also set the rushing record. I don't think people truly understand how special,
impressive
that is.
Well, and when it's all said and done, Cheyenne's probably going to be top 3, 4, 5 in receiving yards in all time in North Judson. So, I mean, he's not going to catch David Haw, number one.
Right.
You have to have about 2,000 yards the rest of his career here to do that. But, he's just a special kid, and he's a great kid. And, we have a lot of just kids that you want to stick up for, you want to fight with on Friday night. You want to coach. When it's all said and done, when the year's over, whether we're winning the state championship or, losing somewhere along the way, you're not going to want to see that senior class go, but gosh darn it, I'm going to enjoy the ride with him, during this season, and hopefully continues to be a good one as we go through it.
I also find it interesting. You picked the right year to do this, the 75th anniversary along with it. It's funny how timelines meet up like that. It couldn't have happened at a better time, really, for North Judson, and we're very happy for it. Brett Lambert, head coach of the North Judson-San Blue Jays, heading into Week 4 against the Knox Redskins. We will be on hand for that broadcast starting at 6 Central for the pregame. Brett, we appreciate your time today. Thank you so much. Good luck to you in Week 4.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we're going to take a break, but don't go anywhere. We've got head coach Russ Radtke in the lobby waiting to go on the air. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
Welcome to Marian University's newest location, Ancilla College of Marian University. Marian's newest campus location in Plymouth is your home for an on-campus college experience. From living in the dorms to being a collegiate student-athlete, Marian University is ranked 3rd most innovative Midwest university by U.S. News & World Report. For more information about our 2- or 4-year degrees, go to www.marian.edu/Ancilla. That's www.marian.edu/Ancilla.
Life is busy. At First Farmers Bank and Trust, we know that your time is valuable. That's why we offer mobile banking, online account opening, and mobile check deposit, so you can take care of your banking and get back to the people who matter most to you, while we take care of the people who matter most to us, our customers. Visit us online at ffbt.com to learn more. First Farmers Bank and Trust, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Stay tuned for more sports talk with Mitch Columbi on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
Back at the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios, we have head coach Russ Radtke of the Knox Redskins in-house, ready to talk about his big win against the Culver Cavs last night, 59-14. Coach, what do you think?
Well, the process of making sure that we keep getting better is there, and I would say that they, Culver's doing what they do good, and they keep getting good at it. And 1 point score was 8-8. So the result is obviously we had 52 guys, and there's a maturation process that strength and power probably overwhelmed them a little bit there. But hey, I got to give it to Culver. They still stay with what they are. They're very tough inside, and they did some things on defense that I'm impressed with, and we're going to have to, and that makes us better. Makes us get in there at halftime, do some things that work to our advantage, and this is the part of coaching what I'm really proud of, and is what we've been doing for almost 50 years.
Yeah, I think the thing that impressed me the most last night was your defensive front four. Allowing your linebackers to just run free all night long, and when that happens, that's pretty impressive. It makes playing defense a lot easier when your linebackers have a clean window to look at and see what's coming at them. So who up front is getting the job done for you defensively? I know the one that sticks out in my mind is Brandon Manuel, number 61. He just looks like a man amongst boys out there. But who are the other three that are playing well for you up front?
Well, leading up to what you're saying is the fact that you're only as good as your competition makes you progress to. Right. And Rochester showed us where our weaknesses were and how we have to get better at those situations. And so, like you're saying, Alex Wackel came in and did a great job for us on the line and really set that up. Tristan Kuchel, a junior, another defensive lineman that we put in that has now really come along and done a great job. And then when you add Eric Griffo. Now, I'm not sure how he's related to the Griffo of North Judson, but I think there's a grandpa or something or his uncle that's involved there in his process. So he came in, did a great job. And then we put a couple sophomores in there, too, that did a good job, and that's Dominic Triska and Matt Kushner that came in. So I guess it's a great job by a coaching staff that's working hard, and Coach Bowen, that is now on our defensive front, has really made our defensive front a lot stronger this year.
Yeah, when you got a kid like Bryce Yankowskis that can just roam free at linebacker, I tell you what, he's not afraid to take on anybody or anything there in the hole. You got a kid like Shane Schumann, who's a fullback with tailback speed. But your kids didn't back down. Logan Taylor sticking his head in there. The Reisner kid. Your kids came to play last night, and defensively, like you said, it was 8-8, and then you guys just took over.
Well, the linebackers are only juniors. And so that means when they were sophomores last year, they weren't out there on the field all the time.
Right.
So now they've gained a little bit of that experience. And once you get that, as a linebacker, is it born into your blood like a Dick Butkus and Ray Nitsky already? Or do you have to maturate? And I think right now that's what's going on. And hopefully they get a better feel for it and keep getting better at it.
Well, the old adage, it's a lot better to be the hammer than it is to be the nail. That's for sure.
Well, it's better to be a sledgehammer than a mallet made out of wood. So, scenarios are good, like you're saying. But, I got to keep going back to the fact that, because even this morning, that parking lot's full. Everybody's in there practicing right now. The freshmen are out in full pads. We got 18 of them that are getting ready for a freshman game this week that are going to come on. And when you have 52, and then we had a couple move-ins this week that are going to be coming in and getting us stronger as we keep going along, it is just part of the Knox tradition that we, you talk about Judson's football and how great it was, we were in USA Today, Sports Illustrated, everything in the world,
Right.
We're going to get Knox to that level too here. We're just going to keep working on it and make Stark County a major football powerhouse that's going to be here, and it's going to be exciting for both school corporations. I keep telling them I got some land to sell out there in total. We can make it one school and bring it together and make it a heck of a 5A program someday.
Oh, man.
Economically, let's get a couple superintendents and school boards thinking about that. But I'm just saying that these two schools together have a tremendous football future in an atmosphere that just keeps building and building. And I'm sure everybody's looking on the scorebook and trying to find out what scores are going to be continually. And we both have to do this, them in 1A and us in 3A.
Yeah, just, you talking about both those schools coming together and making Stark County a football powerhouse. I just got goosebumps.
I did. It got my juices going a little bit, not going to lie, Coach.
It's just the fact that, consideration, and it's nothing against the programs before or what it is. We just have kids right now. I mean, you have to have players.
Exactly.
We're not like the pros that go and wait for somebody to cut somebody and go grab them and kick off the 18, 20 guys that try to play here and trade away one to get one from some other school. That's not the process here. You've got to maturate these young kids and bring them along. Like this Sunday, tomorrow, there'll be 3 Pop Warner games right here in Knox, one right after another at 9 o'clock. Freshman game that's going to be played on Thursday. JV games, varsity games, all these things have always been a good thing, and that's why North Judson and Knox football is some of the best in the state.
All right, so last night, early in the I think it's the second quarter, Culver's driving, and your quarterback, you got him out there playing defense. He takes a shot to the shoulder. Now it ended up just being a burner or a stinger, but any thoughts of oh my God, any second thoughts, I guess, on having him out there on the defensive side of the ball?
You got to remember, he's all conference last year as a defensive back. So he's been itching to get back out there where he wants to be, okay?
He's a football player.
That's exactly right. And, we're not trying to say that we have to have someone get injured for another player, but we have a lot of alternates. We don't have any second stringers. We have a lot of alternates. And when someone has to be substitute for a minute to get to the sidelines or talk or whatever, I think our number 2 quarterbacks and whatever or alternate quarterbacks are ready to go. But, it's kind of tough, but he sucked it up, come back. We let another man play for a couple series. They shut those guys defense down without him, and then he came back in on offense and run our offense for us. He's a tough kid. He's been doing it since he's a sophomore, and Cohen is a great young man that's got an attitude that he'll always get up off the ground if he has to in situations that take place. It's going to be hard to keep any of our guys down completely.
Well, we were a little worried about him with that injury. We are so glad that he got back up, finished the game. It shows a lot about his character, the toughness in him, and we spoke this week about him. A great quarterback for you, very mature, and very mature for his age, quite frankly, and he is a very good asset for you there on the offensive end.
Well, he's an intelligent young man that, to be a quarterback in this program is not something that everybody wants to be.
Exactly.
And even when I was at North Judson, I can remember Greg Fingerhut was supposed to be the quarterback of the future. About 2 days of that, he said, heck with this, I'm getting out of here. I'm going back and playing linebacker and being a running back and doing a great job. But to think that you could handle that, you got to have something in your blood of that. I guess it's not in your blood. You just got to have an atmosphere that, yes, I got a little hungry natch for it and so forth, like you're talking about the North Judson quarterback, and how you got to be able to audible, call the plays, realize that certain things are not going to happen all the time. Then how do we come back on it, come back over to the sidelines, because we can't see everything out there.
Yeah, and last night, you put in, the game's in hand, but you go to the backup, and Rowan Jordan on his very first snap at quarterback takes the ball and goes, about 86 yards for a score. So that had to make you feel pretty good that your kids were able to come out and execute with Rowan Jordan under center.
And he didn't run any different play that hadn't been run by the varsity already.
Exactly.
So, he's able to execute, see it from the sidelines. And, he's our quarterback for a future. He's a junior. And there's some waiting guys. And like I said, we got an 8th grade quarterback that's coming in. That's doing a good job. Our 8th grade lost a couple. 7th, 8th grade lost a game earlier in the week, last week. Winamac was able to score in the last play of both games. But they both came back this week. Our 7th grade and 8th grade teams both played New Prairie. Mary, a 4A powerhouse, and they were able to pick up 2 victories. So sometimes you get that little L in your taste in your mouth. You play a little bit different football, and I think that's what came about last night. It'd be fun to be 3-0 right now, but my gosh, 2-1, where we're trying to get to is what we're trying to keep progressing.
And that Rochester loss, let's be honest, Rochester's a lot better than what people give them credit for. I mean, they go to Whitco last night or host Whitco and put 70 on the board. So, again, that loss, I think that's one that's going to look back and people are going to go, hey, that Rochester team's pretty good.
Well, I think they're at home, and how the heck did they keep score? They don't have scoreboard. It blew out.
I saw that.
So
actually.
it got completely bent over and whatever, so maybe that was a plan. So
maybe
nobody
flip cards
or whatever. I don't know. But in our JV game against them got canceled. It was going to be a great game, but that weather came in on Monday, and a result of that, we've lost that opportunity. So yeah, it's you always got to respect your opponent. You got to take them for what it is. We're playing North Judson this week. We're glad to have this game, and I've always said since we've been here, as far as I'm concerned, we could be every other week, one at North Judson, one at Knox. One at North Judson, one at Knox.
Yeah.
We'll just keep getting ourselves better and making ourselves for what's going to be. It's going to be hard-hitting. It's going to be aggressive, but it's going to be clean. It's not going to be anything that referees have to worry about, any kind of aspect that's going to be different than that. We both respect each other and know that this game is going to be a result of how far we can go in a tournament run.
You know, when you coach as long as what we have, and you've obviously coached a lot longer than me, but one thing I've wanted to ask you, I kind of the same boat. I was a longtime assistant at North Judson. You were the head coach at North Judson, and then I get my first head coaching gig at Knox High School. That first time I was able to go back to North Judson, just what it meant to me. So I your feelings about that, about where you had so much success early in the 80s. What's it? How do you feel about going back to Liberty Field?
Just football game. That's all I'm worried about. And hopefully I got another 10, 15 years in me. This isn't going to be the end.
Right.
And the result of this is going to be something that's positive. And but it's an atmosphere. I mean, that crowd over there used to be behind me.
I know.
Well, now they're in front of me, facing me. And I can remember one of the first times that I had to do that at New Prairie.
Yeah.
And we went back and played at Griffith. And all of a sudden they said first down New Prairie, and I got mad as heck and screaming and hollering on the sideline. The defense ain't doing their job, and coach goes, "That's us, coach. You understand? we just got that first down." So I'm just saying, you got to realize what's happening.
Right,
and if I listen to the guy in the box, it's going to be different. So I would say that it's just going to be a good atmosphere for everybody, and everybody's going to have fun. And one thing I can say is the game's at 7:00, so we've got an extra half hour to get there.
Yeah.
So I got an extra half hour of coaching.
An extra half hour
preparation.
Coaching.
A little bit. I got another half hour of preparation for the game. But both groups will have a fun time preparing for it, and fans come and see it. It's going to be something that's going to be exciting for both sides, and we'll see what the atmosphere can play. And I'm hoping that they create things that we have to adjust to, and I'm sure we're going to also, so that we could it's got to be that this is not the end. You've got to be ready for that tournament run. That's what both schools are trying to do.
I look forward to our talks every week, Coach. I appreciate you coming in. We talked a little bit this week about preparing the younger generation, and that's something that I think is so great, because growing up, I remember being in elementary and middle school, when you see the head coach of the high school program come to these practices, you almost want to show up a little bit more. It gets you excited. It prepares you, honestly, for when you get to high school, because the coach cares. He's there breeding these kids, literally ready to go for high school. I really think that is so awesome of you, that you take the time to go over there and get this next generation up and ready. Of course, you want to do well. That's your whole goal here at Knox Redskin Country.
Well, the point is that our administration, our teachers, everybody involved wants to see young kids. Here's an example. We had 2 weeks ago or so, going into the season already rolling, a teacher comes down and says, hey, there's a kid, you got to get out for football. He's got to be on the team. Got with the athletic director. He said, yeah, we got to do this. The assistant principal said, yeah, he's got to be out there. And here's a freshman named Dawson Puckett, and he's kicking extra points for us last night. And I can tell you right now, if Dawson Puckett keeps playing football and wants to get better at it, he has an opportunity with that foot to be in college. I'm serious. He has really got that. Now, how do we get him there? Grade-wise and process and family and community, it's going to have to be everybody around there. But he nailed those extra points. And then last night he bounced one in on a side pocket billiards.
Yeah, left,
right.
But he got
it. Hey, as long as it go forward. And that's one of the first times I've seen him smile. So, where he's got to realize that he's a part of our team and how important it is. And it's not just myself, it's all the coaching staff and so forth. I went to one of the junior high games this week. I'm up on the box. I see that we only have 6 on one side, 4 side on the defense. I scream down because I don't have a headset. I yell at my assistant coach to tell the head coach. The head coach yells back at me, that's where we're kicking it. Okay. All right. Fine. This is no problem. That's where we're putting him. I put 6 over there because we're going to kick it over there. And by gosh, we didn't kick it down, nail him down there on the 5-yard line. So this is the type of atmosphere that all the coaches and everybody realizes how important it is. And it's the same thing that I'm telling you that's going to bring Stark County to the top of the state of football can be by just having these 2 programs keep going.
Well, I've learned a lot over the last few weeks watching your Knox Redskins. I learned about the swinging gate last night. I had never heard of the swinging gate, and we talked about it last night for your formation there, the extra
PAT,
point.
Yep.
And we've been going for 2 all year, and there's Culver over there stopping it.
Yeah.
And if you look on the film, our kicker is like almost ready. And he's a freshman. Realized this might be it, and okay, they're not doing it. Okay, so they came back. So you go back to 1980. 1980, that scored a 2-point conversion in the first touchdown of the second half to beat Winamac. That we ended up winning the game 22-20, I believe it was, or 22-21, that put us into the state championship because that was the game that had to be won. Winamac never lost another game, and they didn't get to go on because of the tournament run at that time, how you get there. So you never know when, how, where it's going to be placed, and I don't know how many people were around 1980 to see it, but it was part of that. It was a part of the football program at that time, and they execute it and have it completed the right way. It's just something that everybody's got to believe in.
We could almost have a show just to pick your brain of the history of football that you've seen the last 4
don't even get me started on the cluster system.
Yeah, but I can't even figure out how to spell words all the time, but I can. There's something in my mind.
Something from 1980 though.
Yeah, in that process. But it's fun, and it's part of the whole thing, and we just try to get that atmosphere to bring it along. And I could say again, coach is here, and then when he was trying to be the head coach here at Knox, did he have the atmosphere? Did he have the community? Did he have the teachers? Did he have the administration? Did he have an assistant principal and a principal and an athletic director that wanted to really do the things to win? I'm not going to say they didn't, okay? But now we do have it. So let's exploit it and make sure it keeps going, just like we always had over there at North Judson, and why these things take place, okay?
Well, Coach, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much. We've been talking with the Knox Redskins head coach, Russ Radtke. Appreciate your time, Coach.
I appreciate it, and we'll be ready at 7 o'clock next week, and I got to get back to practice right now.
All right, Coach. Until next time,
gentlemen.
We appreciate it. We're going to take a break. Don't go anywhere. The top of the hour is next.
Yep.
You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
You're listening to WKVI FM 99.3. Knox, North Judson, Hamlet, and Winamac. Playing the best of the 80s, 90s, and today. A service of Kankakee Valley Broadcasting.
Fox News until NATO. Thousands forced out of their homes in the Northern California city of Weed due to the fast-moving mill fire. In less than a day, it started about 3,900 acres. Jonathan Cox of CAL FIRE.
Our priority right now is really to slow the progression of the fire, heavy air assault.
Several homes have been destroyed. International Atomic Energy Agency head Rafael Grossi back in Vienna after inspecting Ukraine's damaged Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant, and he's concerned.
The military activity and operations are increasing in that part of the country. And this worries me a lot.
Kyiv and Moscow blame each other for shelling around that plant. Serena Williams out of the U.S. Open. She's been saying she's ready to evolve away from tennis after this tournament. America's listening to Fox News.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
From the K99.3 Weather Center, here's your forecast. Going to be partly cloudy today. 85 will be your high. Tonight, cloudy and 64. For Sunday, cloudy, chance of thunderstorms, high of 81. There's a 40% chance of rain. Sunday night, cloudy, more rain in the forecast, low of 63, 40% chance of rain. And your outlook for Monday, Labor Day, partly cloudy, 81. That's your weather forecast from the station that brings you the best of the 80s, 90s, and today, K99.3.
It's time now for Hour 2 of the Saturday Sports Line with your host, Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI Sports Director, Mitch Columbi, and sports analyst, Chris McGowan.
Welcome back to the Saturday Sports Line. I'm Mitch Columbi here with our Athlete of the Week, senior quarterback for the North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jays, Aldric Harper. Aldric had 3 passing touchdowns this past weekend with 1 rushing touchdown for a total of 187 yards. That's just in the first half. When you're in a zone like that, Aldric, what can you remember in those moments that you're thinking? Is it thoughts or not thinking at all, just doing?
I would say it's not thinking at all, just going with the flow of the game. My linemen, they were blocking for me, and my receivers, we just had that, mojo going where I knew where they were, and they trusted me to throw it, so it was pretty fun.
Tell us your parents' names.
Alvin and Katrina Harper, they're big supporters.
And how long have you been playing football?
6th grade was my first year, and I got into the quarterback position and just went from there.
Was that a position you kind of had your eye on at a young age?
Yeah, it's, I guess the position you should go for, I guess.
Do you play any other sports besides football?
Yes, basketball and baseball.
So we'll be looking forward to seeing you on the hardwood here in the next couple months.
Yes, it should be a fun year for that, too.
That's great. Well, congratulations, Aldric, on winning the Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week award for Week 2 of the 2022-2023 season. Good luck, and we look forward to seeing you out there on the field for our September 9th game against Knox. We're going to take a break, but don't go anywhere. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
At First Farmers Bank and Trust, we've been serving family farms for over 130 years. We've seen our customers succeed in good times, pull through in tough times, and we've learned some lessons along the way. So we appreciate the customers we have today by finding the solutions they'll be looking for tomorrow. Are you ready to talk about your farm operation? Stop by a branch or visit us online at ffbt.com. First Farmers Bank and Trust. Equal Opportunity Lender. Member FDIC.
This presentation of our area's local high school sports is sponsored by Pulaski Memorial Hospital in Winamac. Pulaski Memorial Hospital is dedicated to providing excellent health care to improve the health and quality of life for the people and the community they serve. They will meet the community's needs and exceed their expectations by creating the best possible health care experience. For more information of the services they provide, call 946-2100.
Since 1936, Standard Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning have always taken pride in doing the job right. Third-generation owner Brian Hammond and his family have always set the standard when it comes to taking care of all your heating and cooling needs. Making your home a comfortable home is the absolute top priority. If you are uncomfortable in your home, give them a call at 574-936-4660. Follow them on Facebook. Let Standard Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning help you take control of your comfort. Let's continue the conversation with area high school coaches and more on the Saturday Sports Line.
Welcome back to the Plaskett Memorial Hospital studios, to the Saturday Sports Line, the longest-running high school sports show in Indiana, as we have our very own Winamac's Josh Burgess in studio, coming off a big win last night, 33-7 over North White. Congratulations on your first win as a head coach. You must be very proud.
Yeah, I'm really proud of the kids. Great effort from the kids, and just excited to see them get that first win.
And we were talking off mic here. I asked you if they gave you the ice bath last night, and you said no. So I'm a little disappointed in the Winamac Warrior football program there, not giving you an ice bath after the first.
I told you, I think the coolers were emptied out at the end of the game last night with a little bit of the heat. But no, the kids were excited, jumping around. It was good to see. Good atmosphere, and they played really well. And kids played with some motion. I told them after the game that's what I was most proud about last night. Not that we hadn't played with emotion the first two games, but saw a little more. Good things happened. They were celebrating with each other, running around. You could tell they were having fun last night. So it was good to see.
Yeah, last week you said that the week leading up to North White that you were going to worry more about the Winamac Warriors than you were the North White Vikings. But let's be honest, you're a head coach. You're always preparing. You may not say that to the kids, but what going into last night's game, what concerns you about North White?
Numbers wise, they were low. They were right around 20, but the kids they had have played. I mean, they've been playing since freshmen, and honestly, probably up and down the lineup, they had a little more varsity experience on Friday night than we did, even with our numbers being a little bit more than theirs. So that was a concern. They had a couple big backs that ran the ball pretty hard, and up front, they had some guys that moved around pretty well too. So, yeah, we were concerned, rightfully so, about some of the different sets they ran, but thought our kids handled everything last night pretty well and knew their keys, read their keys, and got after it.
So offensively, you put 33 points on the board, the most points you scored all this season so far. Who played well for you offensively?
I think we made a concerted effort. We talked all week about getting Jaden Jones the ball a little bit more. Against Pioneer, he had, I think, 4 touches, and that's way too few for a kid of his skill level to have. So we got him 14 carries last night, ran for 229 yards.
Oh, wow.
Just real explosive. Michael Lambert, another wing for us, also only had 5 carries. We had 106 yards on 5 carries. So those two guys carried the load, but you got to give credit to the guys up front too. I think we're starting to figure some things out, especially in the run game. Guys up front played a little bit better, a little bit lower pad level. Our guys up front, Eli Matthews, Max Keller, Charlie Dysinger, Wyatt Wheeler, and then Aiden Jimenez, again, got the job done for us last night, especially in the run game. So those guys played well. Cash Roth had a touchdown pass to Max Gerhardt, 3-yard touchdown pass. Cash missed some throws last night, but again, hey, sophomore quarterback.
Exactly.
We're going to deal with that. But he ran the offense well last night for us. And then I was pleased with our kicker. Our normal kicker is Connor Burton. He came down with illness yesterday. So we had a freshman kicker, Carter Ulrich. He made his first 3, and I'm sure he was a little more than nervous going out there, but he did a nice job for us. So, well-rounded effort offensively for us last night.
So let me ask you, sophomore quarterback, how much control do you give him? Is he allowed to make audibles, or do you kind of like, hey, you need to just tone it down just a little bit and just run what I call?
Yeah, we're running what's called there. Marc has him on, he's got him under control. And like I said, Cash does a nice job with our offense.
Right.
He's just learning and figuring things out. So I know last night he had a couple throws he missed that he'd like to have back. But, hey, it's a learning experience.
Exactly. As he gets more mature and he grows and he gets more experience, I'm sure those training wheels will come off and you'll allow him, hey, if we call this and they're in this look, this is something we definitely cannot run. So, making it easy and saying, check into this. So I'm just curious with the young quarterback how much leeway you gave him. So that's pretty interesting. Now, defensively, only gave up 7 points. On that side of the ball, who were you pleased with?
Made some moves defensively. Moved a couple kids around. Got Max Keller and Wyatt Wheeler inside at tackles, and moved Gavin Taylor, who played linebacker for us the first 2 weeks. Moved down to defensive end, and then moved Michael Lamer up from a safety to a linebacker, and inserted Addison Allen, another sophomore for us. So those were good moves for us. I thought the front played a lot better. There were times we were still a little bit high, but for the most part, did a good job of staying down, reading their keys. And I thought our linebackers were pretty aggressive. Mike had a nice night defensively, but so did Tucker Fox and Talon Garner. Those young linebackers are coming on. Only gave up 4 yards passing, too. So, our secondary, Talon Braun, mentioned Addison Allen, Max Gerhardt, and Brody Wall, played well as well. So just a full defensive effort. And I'll mention Aiden Day at defensive end as well. Zane Bell, little dinged up, and we didn't play him a whole lot last night. We kind of held him out, which hopefully will help with his health. But Aiden came in for him and did a nice job in defensive end for us last night.
How is the team looking health-wise? Is Knoth still on the injury report?
Yeah, still waiting. He's actually back now to return to play protocol. So hopefully we can get him started with that this week. Might not be back this week, but we'll get him at least going through some of the things he needs to do to get back on the field. I mentioned Zane. I don't think it's anything serious. He's been dealing with a little bit of a back issue. So again, it was nice not to have to play him for 48 minutes last night, kind of get him healed up. So we're going to need him, the next 2 weeks and on down the line of the season.
Well,
too.
I think it also shows the first 2 weeks of the season, you were battle tested and you were playing a Knox team and then Pioneer in week 2. You were prepared for last night and it showed 33-7 win. You've got to be happy with that. Proud of your boys, your young men. They stepped up to the plate and provided a big win. I just saw some of the pictures on social media. They looked like they were having a lot of fun last night. I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and that's the thing we stress. Hey, it's high school football. Come out here, got to know your job. You got to do what you're asked to do, read your keys, all those good things. But, hey, cut it loose and have fun. It's Friday night. We had a good atmosphere last night. It was little cheer nights. There's people everywhere running around.
I saw.
National Guard jersey night. So those things as a coach make me a little nervous. But kids handled it well, and it was a good atmosphere, and we got things done last night.
Well, I'm sitting here and I'm looking at your schedule, and I don't know. It might be worth having a talk to your athletic director. You start with Knox and Pioneer, and then you have North White in week 3. Now North White a little down this year, but in years past they've traditionally have been a tough opponent. And now you got LaVille coming to Rowdy-Bush Field, and then the week after that you got North Judson. So it doesn't get much easier, Coach.
No, there's nothing easy about our schedule, top to bottom. You guys know with the conference this year the way that it is, there are no quote unquote gimme wins anywhere. All our conference schools are good, and you mentioned too North White a little bit down, but their coaching staff does a good job with the limited players that they have, and they're always competitive, and their kids always play hard. So week in and week out, we've got to be ready to go, and we should be in good shape as we go forward.
So, Coach, what do you look towards each week? You prepare for different teams each week, but what is the first thing that you do Monday morning as a head coach for the Winamac Warriors?
Just making sure when we get to that practice that we're prepared. Making sure the kids understand the scouting report and what we're trying to do, and then just looking at ourselves. I'm a big believer in just constant improvement, and as long as we improve week to week and get a little bit better each week, we're going to be in good shape come tournament time. And I thought last night we did get a little bit better, so successful week for us.
Have you had a chance to look at any film on LaVille?
Just a little bit this morning. Hey, Coach Haustrasser, their program's top notch. He's done an excellent job there for a long time, and man, they've got kids that have been playing since they've been freshmen, sophomores too, and they've got everybody back, and it'll be a challenge for us. We're looking forward to the challenge, but they're one of the top teams in the conference, and just a little bit of film I watched I wasn't shocked with what I saw on film. They're top to bottom, up and down, all 3 phases of the game. They're very solid, and that's a credit to their coaching staff and what they do over there. So it'll be a tough game for us, but we're ready to go.
Yeah, on social media, a lot of people are saying that LaVille could be a team in 2A that represents the North at Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yeah, like I said, it just again, I'll break it down later today and take a look at it, but definitely for what they have coming back and how they play and just the effort they put forth and what their coaching staff does, they're just top notch. So yeah, definitely.
Well, you almost have to be licking your chops. I mean, if I was the head coach playing teams like this is what you want. You want your young guys to experience high-pressure situations, and these games provide that for you. And, I love the name Cash Roth. That is such a QB name. I know I say that over and over again. I was actually thinking on the ride over here, or actually a couple of days ago, I was thinking, boy, Cash Roth IRA. That'd be funny. That'd be a fun one. Roth IRA, Cash Roth. I don't know if we'll work that in, but that was just a lot of fun thinking of that. But what a name he has for a QB. But they've got it. You got to be happy with playing teams that are as tough as this, because it prepares you for the longevity to have a more well-rounded team. I'm sure you're happy with playing a tough schedule like this because it provides such a learning experience.
Oh, definitely. I'll put our conference up against any conference in the area. I mean, whether it's small school, big school, whatever, we play good football in our conference, and we've got top-notch teams. So it gets us ready every week and definitely prepares us for the postseason, which is what we're working toward.
So you got your first win. I do have to ask, I would say you probably slept a lot better last night after the first one?
Yeah, I did. I was, we were home a little bit earlier, got the film broken down, sent to the kids, and I felt pretty good last night. So yeah, it was good. It was good.
Well, congratulations on your first win, Coach, and good luck next week against LaVille. Again, that's why I'm here. I'm sitting on this side of the microphone now, and I grow this beard out just so you guys can look at me and go, wow, head coaching did that to that guy. So just to give you a heads up, just in the future for you.
Appreciate the coverage you guys do and all you guys do for football. And hey, we're gonna get a game plan ready to go, and we'll be ready to go at 7:30 on Friday night.
Well, we appreciate your time, Coach. We've been talking with the Winamac Warriors head coach, Josh Burgess, who won his first game last night as a head coach. Won't be his last. We appreciate your time, Coach. Thanks for coming in. We're going to take a break, but don't go anywhere. We've got South Central's head coach, Buzz Schoff, in the lobby. He'll be ready to talk to us here shortly on the Saturday Sports Line. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
This presentation of our area's local high school sports is sponsored by Pulaski Memorial Hospital in Winamac. Pulaski Memorial Hospital is dedicated to providing excellent health care to improve the health and quality of life for the people and the community they serve. They will meet the community's needs and exceed their expectations by creating the best possible health care experience. For more information of the services they provide, call 946-2100.
Welcome to Marian University's newest location, Ancilla College of Marian University. Marian's newest campus location in Plymouth is your home for an on-campus college experience. From living in the dorms to being a collegiate student-athlete, Marian University is ranked third most innovative Midwest university by U.S. News and World Report. For more information about our 2- or 4-year degrees, go to www.marian.edu/Ancilla. That's www.marian.edu/Ancilla. Collins Insurance Agency in Knox has done it again. They have earned the distinction of preferred agency partner from the Western Reserve Insurance Company.
Can't touch this.
So what does that mean for you? Collins Insurance Agency provides themselves of taking care of its community. That means providing the best insurance that keeps you and your family safe in a time of need. And with this honor, Collins Insurance Agency looks forward to providing Stark and surrounding counties the best customer service you and your family deserve. Collins Insurance Agency in Knox, living the golden rule by treating you like family.
You're listening to Mitch Columbi and Chris McGowan on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
Back at the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios here at Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI. Mitch Columbi on hand, along with our sports analyst Chris McGowan. We've got head coach of the South Central Satellites in the studio with us, Buzz Schoff, this morning. How are you, Buzz?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Not too bad. Tough loss again last night. Talk to us a little bit about Boone Grove. 40-0, is that what the final score was?
That's what it ended up, yes.
That's an unfortunate loss for you, but tell us a little bit about Boone Grove and what you saw last night on the field and what you're hopeful for from the Satellites moving forward.
So, going into the Boone Grove game, we had I guess it ended up being a false sense of hope. In the 3 games that we have of them, of their scrimmage, and then week 1 and week 2, They ran an offense that we thought really worked to our advantage defensively. They don't really do a whole lot of inside run type stuff. It's all perimeter run, and they spread you out and throw the ball, and their plays are, they don't have a whole lot of them, but what they do is they execute those plays pretty well. And we thought that our perimeter play was our strong suit. And our DBs are kind of our strength of our football team. Last week, losing Aaron Hogan with his knee, which we found out he'll be out for 8 weeks, which hurts us bad. You take kind of your guy out of the equation, and you're just kind of now playing. You're just shuffling some cards around. So, and they came out and did exactly what we thought they would do. We were just a second too late. We missed probably 15 tackles last night, which you're not going to win football games missing tackles. We're at the point now where we have to get back to basic football. We're not sustaining blocks. We're not making tackles, and we're not aligning correctly. Those are week 1 mistakes that we're making in week 3. You make those mistakes in week 3, and you got a team like Boone Grove who has struggled just like we have in the first 2 weeks, and they're going to come out and put 40 points on you. Now, those 40 points, they didn't come easy. There was one play where I thought, okay, they executed that play better than we could defend. They had 3 catches that our DB was in position that it could have been a touchdown their way, or it would have been a pick 6 our way. And it just happened it goes through our kids' hands and into theirs, and they walk into the end zone. Those are the type of plays that as a football coach you can overlook. All right, hey, the kid made a play. The quarterback threw a perfect ball, and that kid made a play. That's fine. I can get over that. Don't beat yourself up about it. We'll get that one back. But it's the we have the kid pinned in the backfield for a 3-yard loss, and it ends up being a 7-yard gain. Those are the plays that I can't let go. But as we move forward, like I said, we're going to get back to the basic stuff. We're gonna get back to, this is how you tackle. This is what you need to tackle. There's a lot of times where we just grab onto somebody and we watch our kids being carried for 3 yards. We can't have that. You got to go through the tackle. Your first contact on your tackle can't be your hands. We're not playing 2-hand touch in the backyard here. We need to just refocus on what we're trying to accomplish and what we're trying to do. And I can sit here and make excuses about how we got guys out and key players injured, but there are other teams in the history of football that have had that happen, and they've overcame that. We just need to overcome that right now. We can't sit here and feel sorry for ourselves, and we can't make excuses because another Wheeler team who's struggled, maybe their losses are to a higher caliber teams than our losses. But if you look at the box scores, they've given up just as many points as we have, and they've scored just as many points as we have. So if you look at that and you give yourself the mindset that this is another winnable game, then hopefully our kids come back and are focused and are ready to go. The struggle that I have now as the head football coach is now I have a group of guys who are they haven't given up yet, but they're pretty low. You got to build them back up and give them the confidence that they need to succeed. The season's not over just because you lose the first 3 games. There's probably a lot of pretty good 0-3 teams out there. I made the comment last night in the coach's office that Andrean was sitting at 0-2 last night. If Andrean's sitting at 0-2, it's okay that we're sitting at 0-2, right? I mean, we're not Andrean, and we never will play Andrean, but Andrean's going to be a pretty good football team in the future, and people are going to talk about how good the Andrean team was in 2022. We just got to get there. And we can't look at the win-loss column and dictate what's going to happen next week. It's a different opponent, and I told our guys last night that Wheeler's not going to do anything that you're not prepared for. The struggle is last night as I'm uploading the film and I start breaking down a little bit of their film last night just because I knew that I wasn't going to go home and go to sleep, and so I break down their film a little bit, and I got 3 films of theirs, and I got 3 different offenses and I got 3 different defenses. So okay, let's focus on ourselves because they don't even know what they're doing. So if they don't know, how am I supposed to figure it out? So let's just make sure that we can line up right and we can tackle and we can block.
Talking with head coach of the South Central Satellites, Buzz Schoff. A tough loss last night against Boone Grove, but like he mentioned, we're moving forward towards Wheeler. And like we've talked before, Buzz, you have an extra, almost I would say a second job just in managing play time for these kids. They're not only playing on the offensive end, they're playing on the defensive end. You're trying to fill holes where you can. An unfortunate injury with the knee. It's just got to be frustrating for you, but an also learning experience for these guys as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said last night, I'm breaking down the film, and my wife brought our 3 kids to the game last night, and she doesn't make it to very many games just because we have 3 really young children, and it's hard for her to corral them while watching a football game, and they don't understand the game. They know that Dad coaches the game, and as long as I am stomping up and down the sidelines, they're entertained. But when that stops, they want to wander around. So she was there, and I was texting her last night. I was watching film, and we were texting back and forth, and she said she made the comment, what's going on? And I'm like, well, you remember the first 3 years of our marriage? That's kind of like the first 3 weeks here. Nothing seems to be going correctly that's coming out of my mouth or what I'm thinking. It's all wrong, and we're paying dearly for it. So,
I got to collect myself out. That was a good one. Actually.
But that doesn't mean that you give up after the first 3 years, right? We didn't get divorced just because I was an idiot and I did it wrong.
Exactly.
We continued on, and now we're where we need to be. And like I said, my 3 kids being at the game last night at halftime, they were getting ready to go, and because they started being 8, 5, and 4, and my little son walks up to me, and I'm standing outside the locker room. My little son walks up to me, and my 4-year-old daughter walks up to me, and she gives me a hug and she gives me a kiss, and my son goes, "Are you having fun coaching the football game?" And I'm sitting on the bench thinking, what? How do I make this better? What do I got to do? And then a little 5-year-old walks up to you and asks you if you're having fun, and it puts everything back in perspective that, yes, I do this because I enjoy it, not because I want a shorter lifespan. But, it's just those putting everything back in perspective, and our kids have to put everything back in perspective. Like I said, I mean, just because you're 0-3 doesn't mean that the season's over and we can't do some good things. I think as our schedule goes on, I think there's winnable games throughout. We just have to play better football. We can't be giving up. We can't be giving up 40 points a game. We can't not score. You're not going to win football games by not scoring, and you're not going to win football games by not stopping anybody. So getting back to those basics and getting back to why we play the game of football is going to be the big emphasis going into this week.
So it sounds like from here on out, it's just going to be more concentrating on the South Central Satellites than it is your opponent.
Exactly. We got to get better at playing football. It doesn't matter who we're playing. If we don't understand the game, it doesn't really matter what they do. If we don't tackle you, it doesn't quite frankly matter what play they called. If we're not aligned correctly, it doesn't really matter what formation they called. So just giving a basic understanding of what we're trying to do, and I'll take full responsibility for it. That's the job of the head coach, right? You take full responsibility when stuff's not going right, and you get no credit when it's going right. So I take full responsibility for that. We got a lot of kids that are playing their second, third, fourth position right now, and we just got to understand that, okay, this kid was not learning this when we initially taught it, and now we're taking for granted that he knows what we're talking about. Well, so we just got to get back to understanding what we're trying to accomplish offensively and what we are trying to do defensively. Because with a kid playing his 4th position in 3 weeks, he may not fully understand why he is in this position or where he's supposed to go on any given thing. So we just got to reevaluate what we're trying to teach, and is this the kid that gives us the best option in that spot?
getting the kids to believe that, hey, just stay in your lane, do what we ask you to do, and if all 11 guys on the defensive side of the ball buy into that and start doing that, then a pretty special thing starts to happen. But again, when you're talking about 14, 15, 16-year-old kids, it's a lot easier said than done.
Yeah, and the luxury we have is the South Central kid, the South Central mindset is different than anywhere else I've ever seen. If I tell a kid to do something, he believes that is the correct thing to do without question. He doesn't question why I told him to do that, why we're doing that. He just knows that that's what I'm supposed to do. So you appreciate that as a head coach, that even though this kid knows that we've been struggling, he still understands that, okay, that's how I got to do it.
Right.
And I'm going to do it. And when you're talking about defense, if all 11 guys aren't doing their specific job, the whole thing falls apart.
All it takes is one guy.
Yeah. So we have to do our job and not worry about what somebody else is doing, and not try to compensate for them doing it wrong. Believe in everybody else, believe in yourself, and then believe in the system as well. And as long as you do that, it will work. Right now, I'm not saying that our kids are trying to do more than what they're capable of. Right now, I think our kids are just sitting there and they're just confused. You can't play this game confused, because now you're thinking, and the game's too fast to think. All right, This isn't a chess game,
right?
Even though we compare it to chess, there's no time to think. There's time to react. Yep. And if our kids are thinking, we're just slow. And when you got kids who don't quite get the game of football, and now they're slow, you give up 40 points.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming in today and talking to us. Tough loss last night for the Satellites, but you head to Wheeler next week. Tell us a little bit about what you're prepared against Wheeler for next week.
So, again, Wheeler, another struggling team. A team that likes to spread it out and likes to throw the ball, and then but they will do a little inside zone type stuff, and nothing flashy, nothing fancy. We just have to tackle better, and we have to block better. And I think that if our kids buy in this week of what we're trying to do, I think we can get this thing turned around and at least show a little bit of success. The hard part is the first 3 weeks we've had very little success. I think through the Culver game, our kids were. It was a different mindset, because we were in that game all the way to 6.5 minutes to go. Last night, our kids we gave up a long touchdown pass where our DB was in perfect position. The kid just made a great play. We gave up a touchdown, and then the wheels just fell off. That's not usually how it goes. That usually our kids are motivated by that. Yeah. We're okay with being behind. That's when we play our best football. So our kids really we need to show success early on in the game and get our kids with the understanding of, okay, we can play this game right now. We can be in this football game, and it's never going to be easy. There's not a person on our schedule where we're just going to walk in and win. But I don't think there's anybody left on our schedule where we don't have a chance going in.
Well, Coach, we wish you luck. Also, hoping for a speedy recovery for your injured player there in the knee. That is so tough to hear. Sorry to hear about that. We wish him a speedy recovery. But you will be taking on Wheeler next week. We're talking with the South Central head coach, Buzz Schoff, for the Satellites. Buzz, thanks so much for coming in and giving us some of your time today.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, guys.
All right, the Where Are They Now segment's coming up next. We're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Harold Welter's on the other side.
Since 1936, Standard Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning have always taken pride in doing the job right. Third-generation owner Brian Hammond and his family have always set the standard when it comes to taking care of all your heating and cooling needs. Making your home a comfortable home is the absolute top priority. If you are uncomfortable in your home, give them a call at 574-936-4660. Follow them on Facebook. Let Standard Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning help you take control of your comfort.
Coke knows there's nothing better than the beat of the summer. The beat begins in a simple and mellow place, from low-key to hyped up. So we're helping you and your friends drink it all in with 100 days of the artist's experiences, tracks, and concerts with the best names in music, all at Coke Studio. Drink, scan, and enjoy your Coke so you never miss out on all the amazing offers we're dropping this summer.
It's time now for Where Are They Now? A look back at more than a half century of WKVI radio covering local high school sports. Today's program is brought to you by Osborne's Mini Marts in Knox and Culver. Now let's meet one of the local high school sports figures from more than 50 years of WKVI sports and find out where are they now.
As we look back on more than 50 years of broadcasting high school sports in the Kankakee Valley here on WKVI, our guest is Chuck Freeby, a 1982 graduate of Elkhart High School, and we call this segment, Where Are They Now? So, Chuck, where are you now, and what are you doing?
I'm in my office at TV 46, Harold, and I'm getting ready for another week of the high school football game of the week.
Of course, Chuck is well known for his work on Channel 16 for many years, and in recent years in Channel 46 in the TV game. And Chuck and I have something in common. That is, when we were in high school, we weren't very good at playing sports, so we got into the media and became expert on all of them. Right, Chuck?
Amen. Amen. And fortunately, there's room in sports for just about all types, including those of us who aren't that great at playing the game, but can certainly talk about it.
Well, Chuck has been around talking about it for a long, long time, and our paths have crossed from the media standpoint. But I want to go back. Chuck, You've televised a lot of games, and I want to focus on the high school games that you've covered. And you go back over the many years that you've been doing this. What is the one game that stands out in your mind more than any others that you've covered?
Well, let's break it down into two areas if I can, Harold, and let's go football and basketball. And football, I think one of the games that I remember the most is back in the early 1990s. Now, TV 46 did the game, but back then it was with Craig Wallen and Bob Nagel. I covered the game as a TV reporter at WNDU, but it was a Bremen-Jimtown game. It was a snowy regional game, I believe, in the tournament. And Bremen and Jimtown had already stoked that rivalry playing all those years in the Northern State Conference, where, of course, Knox fans were very familiar with seeing those teams cross their paths. And Bremen had a kid back there returning kickoffs by the name of Bo Hunt. And Bo, of course, was a terrific running back, and now he's my partner on TV 46. And Bill Sharp had given his kicker a direction. You do not kick the ball to Bo Hunt. It's very simple. We're going to squib it, or you kick it into the end zone. But you do not kick the ball to Bo Hunt. So Jimtown has scored a touchdown. They're getting ready to go, and they kick it off. And Bill Sharp realizes the ball is headed directly for number 21. And as Bill tells the story, he looked at his assistant coach, Gene Johnson, and said, "We're in trouble." And dodging the snowflakes and Jimtown tacklers, Bo weaved his way through the snowflakes 95 yards. And Bill said, we only had about 17 opportunities to tackle him, missed the ball, and took it back for a touchdown. And it was one of the great games in what is a storied rivalry. In fact, a rivalry that at one time Sports Illustrated declared the greatest rivalry in high school sports.
And, of course, you're talking about a guy like Bill Sharp, who was one of the great coaches that you've ever covered.
Absolutely. I mean, Bill won 288 games and a storied career at Jimtown. Amazing 84% winning percentage. And as you know, Harold, you had the opportunity to talk to him a few times. Bill could turn a phrase with the best of them. He was nervous before games, whether he was in a game where he was going to win by 49 or a game that was going to be a nail-biter. He took them all the same, and just one of the great characters of the game. But one of my favorite Bill Sharp phrases is, Coach, you're going to play a lot of young guys this year. Are you ready for that? And he said, Chuck, if they don't bite when they're puppies, they won't bite when they're dogs.
What about on the basketball side? What's that most memorable game in basketball?
I was actually a sideline reporter for this game, and it's Plymouth taking on the Washington Hatchets in the state finals down at the field house. And Plymouth appears as though they are going to get Jack Edison another state title. And Washington inbounds the ball to their 6'11 center who is headed to Notre Dame by the name of Luke Zeller. And he turns and flings up a prayer from half court. And it goes in. And the Hatchets get their first and only state basketball championship. And the good news for Jack Edison is he would get one a couple of years later. But that was a great Plymouth team. Randy Davis, a terrific guard who went on to play at Ball State. And I'm all set to talk to Jack about this gap between his state titles and what it means to get his second one. And the ball comes in, and the moment it left Zeller's hand, it's like, that thing's going in.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it did. And I'm right there by half court to grab him and do the interview afterwards on the HSA network. But that was one of the great games that I ever saw. And I'll tell you, a memorable game from last year, Harold, was the opening game of the Bi-County tournament. We did a Argus-Bremen game that wound up going, I believe, 4 overtimes in the opening round of the Bi-County this year. And that's the longest game that I ever had the privilege of broadcasting.
Going back to Jack Edison and his role at Plymouth, of course, you're considerably younger than I am, but I broadcast that state championship he got in 1982 on that last shot in overtime by Scott Skiles that gave Plymouth the state championship in the year you graduated from high school. So
right.
Lots of great memories. And I'll tell you what, the best memory, I want to talk about the best TV sportscast that I have ever seen in my 77 years. And that was the sportscast and you did the entire report to the tune of The Night Before Christmas. Do you remember that?
I do, Harold, because it was on Christmas Eve, and of course no self-respecting
Oh, that's
high school
right.
would play on Christmas Eve. I had 2 toddlers at the time at home, my son Peter and my son Christopher. And so we brought the camera over to the house, and we did the breaks between highlights where I would be back on camera normally in the studio. We did those there in rhyme as though I was reading to the boys, and then I had to come up with things to say over the highlights. And, of course, you can't really plan it until you see the highlights come down and see what plays you have. So we tried to make all of those work, and it did. And, yeah, that was one of my favorite sportscasts to do. We tried to be creative. I mean, you work in a newsroom where so much tragedy happens, and you have to cover it. And sports is the toy store. It's a wonderful diversion. And so I always had the philosophy, let's make this fun. Let's try to be creative. If we try some things and they don't work out, that's okay. Sometimes you try some things like that one, and it does work out, and it was for the best.
So how much time did you have to put all that together?
Oh, gosh, let's see. We only had the one sportscast that night, so that was 11 o'clock, and I think with it being Christmas Eve, they tried to have the games. There was no Sunday night football at that point, so the last game was done by 7:30, so I had about 3 hours to play with it a little bit.
Well, like I say, that was the greatest telecast of a sports report that I ever saw. And I've told a lot of people about it. I forgot that was NFL time, though, but it was great. No question about that. Let me ask you this, Chuck. Growing up there in Elkhart and staying home in your entire career, who were some of the people who were like your role models or who helped you be so successful?
Let's start with a voice that was very familiar to people in Elkhart and wound up being very familiar to Notre Dame basketball fans, and that's the great Jack Lorre. Mm-hmm. Jack had a son who played at the Little League Park with me, and unfortunately Jack just passed away of cancer about 2 months ago. But I told the story online about how Jack took an interest in me at the Little League Park. I was doing PA announcing. I would keep the scorebook and the scoreboard for the games that he was coaching that his son was playing in. And he was the one who put me on the radio for the first time when I was 15 years old. I did stats for him at the Indiana-Kentucky All-Star game down in Indianapolis. His regular guy was on vacation. So I went down with him, just thinking that I would be keeping the stats. And then he said at halftime, here with the stats recap is Charlie Freeby. And so there I was on the air. And that was a gentleman who took a great interest in my career, did a great job. And then, of course, growing up in the 70s, you saw Howard Cosell at all these different events. And I know there were a lot of people that didn't like Howard, and I can appreciate that. But the fact that he was at everything, that was the kind of job that I wanted to have. I wanted to be where all the action was. So that was a great influence. And then in terms of growing up watching baseball, at that time, cable was just in its infancy. For whatever reason, my folks decided to splurge and get cable. And you look at cable today, and it's so much different. At that time, I think there might have been 15 channels on the cable, but one of them was WGN, which had Jack Brickhouse doing the Cubs games.
Right.
And another one was WSNS out of Chicago, which was the station that carried the White Sox games. So I get to watch Jack Brickhouse and Harry Carey, a couple of baseball Hall of Famers, do baseball. And those were terrific influences as I was growing up. Once I got to college at Notre Dame, I had the chance to meet people like Keith Jackson, Harry Callis, Dick Enberg, and actually see how they work their craft and learn so much just from watching them that I try to use within my own broadcast, whether it's just laying out so that the crowd noise can take over, because we're on TV. It's not like when you're on radio, Harold, and you do such a wonderful job of painting pictures and telling the story. On television, I'm far less important. The picture is the main thing, and so sometimes it's just saying something and staying out of the way.
We're talking with Chuck Freeby, a 1982 graduate of Elkhart High School who is well known in our area for all of his great years of TV sportscasting in South Bend. And
need a game plan that has your day covered from tip-off to the buzzer? Osborne's Mini Mart in Knox has you covered. Whether you like to start out with a caffeinated full-court press or control the tempo with a Subway breakfast flatbread, Osborne's Mini Mart has what you need. Don't get trapped in the corner with an empty stomach. Call a quick timeout and get 2 hot dogs for $1.29. Visit Osborne's Mini Mart in Knox at the corner of US 35 and Highway 8 East to guarantee you win the day.
Our guest is Chuck Freeby, a 1982 graduate of Elkhart Central High School and well known for his TV work on sports in the South Bend market. And let me ask you this, Chuck, what do high schoolers gain from high school athletics that can help them be successful in life?
Oh, I think there's so many lessons that so many students have an easier time perhaps learning on the athletic field than they do in the classroom. And let's face it, for a lot of these sports, they're spending almost as much time on the field or with their team, or at least working on their game, as they do in the classroom over the course of a year. But I think one of the things that's key for anybody is learning how to work with other people, and often people that don't come from the same background or necessarily have the same interests that you do, and learning how to work with those people. That's an important skill for anybody. I think then the lessons of sacrifice, the lessons of perseverance, how to handle adversity, all of these kinds of things that don't always happen in the classroom, but certainly happen within the course of just about any sporting event, and certainly with any team, no matter how successful or unsuccessful they are. So I think there are so many valuable lessons for young people to learn from sports, and I've always encouraged all of the kids, and we were blessed to have 6, and I encouraged them to participate in whatever way they can. So coming out of our household, we had pole vaulters. I admire anybody that's willing to take a pole and thrust themselves into the air. That takes a lot of courage. We had cross-country runners, we had soccer and basketball players, but tennis was another sport that they played. And some of those sports you can carry on in life. I know that my son that ran cross-country still does running today. I know that my daughter who played tennis still likes to play tennis today. Some of those sports you can carry with you forever, and then some, like, let's face it, football, basically everybody's done playing football once they finish high school, with the exception of an elite few. And so that opportunity to play high school football really rings important for so many young men.
Well, it just so happens that we're doing this interview on an important anniversary for you. Is that right? 35 years ago today, that's August 31st, you got into TV? 2
great things happened for me August 31st, 1987, and neither one of them had to do with the release of the Michael Jackson video on CBS for Bad. One of them was that was my first day of employment at WNDU. And being that it was my first day of employment at WNDU, it was also wound up being the first day that I laid eyes on the woman who I'm eventually would marry and have been married to now for 31 years. She was a production assistant from St. Mary's College back in the days when scripts were typed out on typewriters. And they were typed on 5-ply copy. And she would take those 5 copies and break them up and distribute them around to the people that needed them, the anchor, the director, the teleprompter operator, etc. And that was the first time. Now, I obviously did not know the day that I laid eyes on her that she would eventually be my wife and have 31 wonderful years together. But yes, it's a great day for me.
Well, we want to thank you in light of that, taking time and visiting with us and talking about your career in TV there in South Bend. And I want to thank you for taking that time, and I want to thank you on behalf of all of the viewers down in the Kankakee Valley area where we operate for all of the great work you have done in TV sports, and particularly that you continue to do to promote high schoolers. We appreciate that more than we can say, Chuck.
Harold, I'm so appreciative of being on the air with a legend like you. The amount of time that you've spent giving your time and talents, and sometimes your treasure, to the young athletes of Stark and Pulaski County can't be said enough. What a great job you've done over the years, and just appreciate you and your friendship.
We appreciate that very much. Our guest on Where Are They Now has been Chuck Freeby, a 1982 graduate of Elkhart High School. Join us again next week on the Saturday Sports Line for Where Are They Now?
Where Are They Now? A look back at more than a half-century of high school sports coverage on WKVI has been brought to you by Osborne's Mini Marts in Knox and Culver.
At First Farmers Bank and Trust, we've been serving family farms for over 130 years. We've seen our customers succeed in good times, pull through in tough times, and we've learned some lessons along the way. So we appreciate the customers we have today by finding the solutions they'll be looking for tomorrow. Are you ready to talk about your farm operation? Stop by a branch or visit us online at ffbt.com. First Farmers Bank and Trust, Equal Opportunity Lender, member FDIC.
This presentation of our area's local high school sports is sponsored by Pulaski Memorial Hospital in Winamac. Pulaski Memorial Hospital is dedicated to providing excellent health care to improve the health and quality of life for the people and the community they serve. They will meet the community's needs and exceed their expectations by creating the best possible healthcare experience. For more information of the services they provide, call 946-2100.
Here's more with area high school coaches as we return to the Saturday Sports Line from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital Studios on K99.3.
All right, what's happening? It's time now for our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week, given in memory of Tyler Roth, a 2001 graduate of Winamac High School who died in an auto accident 1 week after his high school graduation. His legacy of hard work, outstanding citizenship, artistic success, and super athletic performance lives on with this award given every week to outstanding student athletes from the 9 schools in the Kankakee Valley. Today's award is brought to you by Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack in Winamac, and we'll tell you who's earned the Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week after this word from Web Printing.
Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack and signs of all kinds in Winamac is where all of your printing needs can be met. Whether it's paper, garments, or signs, Web Printing is your full-service printing solution. So if you're in need of embroidered or screen-printed garments, tickets or programs for your event, or documents for your business, Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack is the place to go. For the quickest service, best prices, and best quality, it's Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack in Winamac.
Our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week for this week is Giselle Villegas, a member of the girls soccer team at Culver Community High School. Giselle has had an amazing season thus far for the Cavs. She has had 10 goals and 3 assists in 3 games just this week, Chris. Last Saturday against South Bend Riley, she had 4 goals and 1 assist. Then Tuesday against Washington Township, she had 3 goals and 2 assists. And finally Thursday, she had 3 goals against Rochester. All 3 games were wins this week for the Cavs. The Cavs, as a combined effort, scored 18 goals as a team collectively, only giving up 4 total goals. Giselle is the daughter of Sandra Villegas and is also a member of the track team and a manager for the cross-country team and basketball team at Culver Community. Congratulations to Giselle Villegas of Culver Community High School, our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week. Giselle will receive a certificate, a history of the award, and a t-shirt commemorating her achievement, and will also be a future guest on the Saturday Sports Line. She will also be eligible for our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Year award later this spring, which carries with it a beautiful plaque and a college scholarship, compliments of WKVI and the family of Tyler Roth. The Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week is brought to you by Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack of Winamac. So congratulations to Giselle Villegas. We'll work on getting that interview this week with her, and we're very excited about it. Congratulations to her.
Yeah, congratulations to her, and I tell you what, we are now preparing for week 4 of the football season. It's North Judson Knox. It doesn't get any bigger than that, and I am so excited. And I want to take the opportunity here real quick to congratulate the Tri-Township Lady Tiger cross country team, who last Saturday went down to West, or I think it was Monon or West Central, and had the 421 run and actually won it.
Good.
So competed against 8 other schools and actually won that competition. So congratulations to the lady cross country team at Tri-Township.
That's awesome. And I'm sure you're also sort of getting ready, gearing up for the basketball season here. Another month or so, you're probably going to be ready to get over there to the lacrosse, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. October 17th is already penciled on the calendar. And, yesterday it was kind of nice. The athletic director comes walking into my classroom and drops some boxes down and he says, got you some new uniforms. So
nice.
Put those away last night before I headed over to Knox to the field. And, just hanging those up last night, just got the juices flowing, and I'm ready to get started.
Well, until Friday, we will see you at North Judson versus the Knox Redskins. Our pregame starts at 6 Central. I'm Mitch Columby. The tradition continues here on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI. For sports analyst Chris McGowan and all of us here at KVB, you have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you next Friday.
From the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios of Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI, you've been listening to the Saturday Sports Line with sports director Mitch Columby and sports analyst Chris McGowan.